Imagine this. What if you could own a piece of the very highways, power grids, and office parks that are building modern India? And what if you could do it just as easily as buying a stock? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll kick things off by looking at how investing in property is completely changing. Then, we'll get clear on what these real assets actually are. We'll meet the financial tools that make all this possible. And finally, we'll see how you can get your slice of the pie. You know, for the longest time, if you wanted to invest in big-ticket property or infrastructure, well, good luck. You needed crores of rupees, and honestly, the headaches were just endless. But that entire model is being flipped completely on its head. In this slide right here, it shows you the revolution in a nutshell. We're shifting from this super high-stress, high-capital game where you put all your eggs in one basket to something that's actually convenient, flexible, and open to pretty much everyone. You get all the good parts of owning property with none of the old headaches. Okay, so we keep using this term real assets. What are they really? Well, the concept is probably a lot simpler and more intuitive than you think. Yeah, this isn't some abstract financial product that's hard to wrap your head around. We're talking about the actual tangible stuff that powers our daily lives. The things you can see and touch. They are, quite literally, the backbone of our economy. For instance, just think about the huge network of highways connecting our cities. They're not just asphalt and concrete, right? They're living, breathing assets that are constantly generating income, either through tolls or through stable payments from the government. Or what about the power grid? You've got thousands upon thousands of kilometers of these transmission lines crisscrossing the country. Every single time a unit of electricity flows through them to light up your home or a factory, well, that's revenue being generated. And of course, there are those shiny, premium office buildings that house the world's biggest companies, and those gigantic warehouses that are the beating heart of our e-commerce economy. All of them are collecting rent, creating a really steady, predictable flow of cash. So this all sounds great, but how do you actually get a piece of the action? Well, that's where these things called REITs and InvITs come into the picture. And honestly, the easiest way to think of them is super simple. They're basically mutual funds, but for real stuff. It's pretty straightforward. The names kind of give the game away, don't they? REITs are for real estate, while InvITs focus on infrastructure. But here's the key thing. Even though they invest in different types of assets, the way they work, that core principle, is exactly the same. It's that mutual fund model we all know so well. You pull money from a whole bunch of investors to create one big pot of cash. And with that, the trust can go out and buy a whole portfolio of these amazing assets, stuff that you or I could never dream of owning on our own. It's a total game changer. Now check this out. This is where it gets really, really good for you as an investor. There's a law, a regulation, that says these trusts have to pay out at least 90% of their cash flow. They can't just sit on the money. This is a powerful, built-in protection that ensures you get that steady, predictable income stream. It's huge. So, let's cut to the chase. What does all of this actually mean for you and your own personal wealth creation? Well, the benefits are honestly transformative. I mean, just look at this. You can start with just a few hundred rupees. You're instantly diversified across tons of high-value properties. You can buy and sell them easily on the stock market, just like a share. And you get to earn rental income without ever having to deal with a tenant. This unique combination has just never been available to the average Indian investor before. Think about it. For a few thousand rupees, you could own the equivalent of a few square inches of a premium office building and get your tiny slice of the rent every single month. It's a fundamental shift. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. We all understand how the stock market made it possible for us to own a piece of a company, right? Well, this is the exact same idea, but for the country's physical growth. All right, let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. This isn't some new, untested idea that we just cooked up. This is a proven global model. And the most exciting part, India is just getting started, which should spell one thing for you: opportunity. Just look at this timeline. The US has been doing this since the 1960s. For over 60 years, this model has been creating enormous wealth in markets around the world. We are just now catching up, which suggests that the potential for growth right here at home is just massive. And don't think for a second this is some far-off potential. In just a few short years, the market has already exploded to an incredible 10 lakh crore rupees. That is a mind-boggling number. It shows you the immense confidence that investors have and the sheer scale of the assets being brought to the public. So, how do the pros evaluate these assets to know which ones are good? They use a simple but really powerful checklist, the 3 C's. First, is the cash flow predictable? Second, is there a solid long-term contract in place? And third, who is the counterparty paying the bills? Is it a credible top-tier company? If you can tick all 3 of those boxes, you've got the formula for a stable investment. All right, let's bring this all home. At the end of the day, what's one of the most important financial goals that pretty much all of us share? It's building a comfortable, stress-free retirement. For generations, the plan was to buy a second flat for rental income. It's a great idea in theory, but man, the stress, dealing with tenants, vacancies, maintenance, it could be a nightmare. Well, you can think of this as the modern evolution of that plan. It delivers the exact same goal, stable income from property, but in a way that's regulated, diversified, and completely stress-free. By investing in the very backbone of the economy, the roads we drive on, the offices we work in, the power that lights our homes, you're not just building your own wealth. You are taking a direct financial stake in the future of the nation itself. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful thought. Could your retirement be funded by India's own growth story? Something to really think about.